All right. Happy Friday the 27th, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Virtually Incorrect. This is episode number 11. I'm your host, Gunter, and each week I bring you 4 guests from the community together to discuss all things virtual reality in virtual reality. The tone is semi-serious with nothing off limits and nothing censored. If you want to be a guest on the show? Send me a message on Reddit at Gunter444. And you can also join us in the studio audience during the live show, just like you can see here with all our great audience members. All you gotta do is download RiffMax and hop on in. So when you come in though, be courteous while the show is in progress. And before we meet our guests, I want to thank the RiffMax crew, the guests, audience members here in the studio tonight, and everyone watching from home. Really appreciate your support. And tonight, I have an amazing panel of VR developers, personalities, and enthusiasts here to chat it up. And first on the list, we've got DrashVR, developer of Titans of Space. How's it going, Drash?
Good. Great to be here.
Excellent. And next we've got LuisOliveira, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, founder of Imerrsive.com.
Yeah, great. It's great to be here.
All right, did I get your name right?
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent. And next we've got Roger Essig, developer of DMT Experience and North, South, East, West, as well as a killer psychedelic artist and Psychonaut. What's up, Roger?
Hey, it's great to be here. It's so surreal.
It's awesome, man. I've been wanting to have you on for a long time, so I haven't talked to you really since the Minecraft days, which feels like, forever ago.
It does.
And finally, we have APieceOfFruit, developer at Team Metatron and returning guest. How's it going, APieceOfFruit?
Pretty sweet. It's great to be back, Gunter. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm glad to have you. So finally, we have a Hitbox stream poll this week, and it is Google's Cardboard VR viewer is 1, a game changer for development for VR, 2, a fun toy appropriate for a few simplistic VR experiences, or 3, a copy of FOV to go, and then the results will be shared at the end of the show. So let's go ahead and dive right into the stories and talk about that. So first story is Cardboard, a VR Android app from Google. This was posted on the subreddit by Ron Akkad. It says Cardboard puts virtual reality on your smartphone. Try a variety of immersive demos on Android and get inspired to build your own using a VR toolkit. And Krylorani commented, that's pretty cool, possibly the precursor to a full Google Play VR app store. As for the DIY kit, I'm digging the Cardboard, puts a nice environmental friendly spin on things. And also we have a comment by DevForm. This is Google trying to kill VR in its crib, the substandard VR experience that makes everyone ill when they try it. This is it. So APieceOfFruit, what do you think about this story? Do you think that this is going to be a good thing or a bad thing for VR?
Well, I think Google are pretty big and pretty good at what they do for the most part. And I'm all for any kind of exposure for VR. I do feel like a bit of a hipster going, they're a bit late in the game now, and they're bringing out a small toy after we've been sitting here in our kick-ass kit for a while. But
we're friends with Facebook
it can only be good,
now.
Yeah, exactly. We've got big boys behind us.
Mm-hmm. Louis, what's your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that if I sound silly, it's okay because it's 5 a.m. here, so I may be a bit sleepy.
That's good. Well, thank you for staying up real late. Really appreciate that, especially all the Europeans that watch live and whatnot. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, what I think is, I think it's a good thing to introduce people to VR because sometimes people don't have the money or don't have the resources. So I think it's good to try that. But there's also it can also scare people because I haven't seen it for myself. But if it's not well done, it may actually scare off people. People may think, "Oh, this actually is not that good."
Right. And Drash, what's your opinion on this story?
Normally I would think this is a terrible thing for, the reason that Dev4 mentioned earlier. But, I think that Google is probably just looking at Oculus and seeing how much of a head start they have. So they're just going after, the small, cheap end in the market. And I don't think we have to worry because there's enough people going to be using Oculus that the word of mouth is not going to be drowned out, by a substandard experience. I think it'll be okay.
It's certainly very interesting to see Google bringing something that, a really novel idea and bringing it, where more people can try it. And I think that's a huge thing for VR. So we will have both of those equations. I think that's interesting. How about you, Roger? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, as soon as I heard about it, I thought immediately of how they rapidly prototyped the Google Glass. They did it within half an hour. They just made a little cardboard thing and wore it on their head with a bit of wire, and they saw it as a workable thing. So I think it's good that they've done this and, put it out to the masses, as it were, so they can rapid prototype ideas and experiences and stuff like that on the cheap. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think I like it too. I'd like to try it, that's for sure. What are the thoughts you guys have on this? And just open it up.
Well, besides, VR is not in its crib, I just want to say that. It's a little T-Rex, it's running down the street at this stage. I think it's well beyond the crib stage.
Maybe we're crawling, or little toddlers, like 4-year-olds running around. I don't know if we're in our teens yet.
Well, we're really obsessed with porn, so, maybe we are in our teens.
All right, you win. We are fanboys, Oh, I get it. All right,
so
cool.
Is this cardboard supposed to work with, Android devices?
I would think so. Does anybody know that for sure?
Well, if that's
you
the
put an
case,
Android phone in there, right?
That's a huge range of hardware capability. So, some people may be saying, wow, this is such a great experience, and others are just suffering from 10 frames a second on something that shouldn't be on a mobile phone. So that could also cause some confusion. So maybe it's not so good.
I was under the impression it was HTML5, so it was basically, cross-platform, anything that can render a web page. And that does lead to the problem you said. If any device can run it, then you're going to have people running it and stuff that really shouldn't.
You'd think they'd come out with documentation to say about, minimum requirements of phone technology and stuff like that.
Sure.
Well, I also believe that people that are going to try the cardboard are more of the enthusiastic kind of people. Because it's not easy to assemble it. You have to get special lenses, you have to get some magnets, you have to have this kind of know-how. So I don't think mainstream people will actually do it,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's really for the nerds, and they're going to be able to distinguish bad VR, good VR. They really probably just want to play and check it out, and it's just more for people to talk about, and something from Google. Hey, I can dig it. Cool. So recently we've added a new segment called Guest Spotlight, and we like to talk to one of our guests and ask some questions. So first up is Luis, and Luis, my question is, please tell us a little bit about yourself and what influenced you to start Arc Immersive.
Well, I bought the Oculus around, it should be around 1 year ago. And I was very, very impressed with the capabilities, and I immediately thought that I wanted to develop something for it. I have some experience in developing for games, but I also have this huge passion for architecture. And I started making some experiences with it, and I showed it to some friends and stuff, and they told me that it could be something very interesting to try and to develop, and so that's how APieceOfFruit was born.
We have a fan in the audience, and I'm also a fan as well. I really am digging on, of course, these social experiences and really things that I call experiences over games. I love games too, but I'm really digging experiences. It's fresh, they're novel. So digging what you're doing, it's really neat. Architectural rendering, as in drawing what a completed building will look like by hand, has been a part of the formal art and science of architecture since the modern inception. CAD technology and 3D graphics have fundamentally changed the whole field, but architectural rendering in particular is architectural visualization using VR the next big thing in architecture?
I think that VR has a huge future in the world of architecture, but I don't think it will substitute the traditional methods. I think the models, like wooden models, will still be made. I think 3D renders, like still images, will still be made. And VR will just be a really, really cool add-on.
Sure, like we have TV, but we also still have paper and radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, and how does ArcImmersive fit into this, and how does it feel to be pioneering one of the perfect early uses of VR with it?
Well, yeah, it feels great. I'm actually not sure if it's a pioneering thing I'm doing, because I'm sure that in the past people have experimented with architecture in virtual reality with other devices other than Oculus. But still, it feels great to be part of this new era of virtual reality for different kinds of applications. And even in the future, I don't want to be stuck to architecture. I think I want to try also other kinds of applications for VR.
I see. And so that's really cool, because you actually brought it, though, to a more mass audience. There may have been others pioneering, before, but I don't think we would have been able to experience that. So I'm pretty happy about that, and it just kind of connects me to all that. And one last thing, Nate, a good friend of ours on Team Metatron with me and Jason here, he wants to say any architectural firm that doesn't involve virtual reality in both the design and customer presentation side within 5 years won't be an architecture firm that'll be there within 10 years. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't agree. I think that's a bit exaggerated. I think many firms will have virtual reality, and they will adopt this technology. But I don't think it will be that much exaggerated. Like I said in the beginning, I believe this won't be a substitute for traditional methods, but it will be some kind of a cool thing to have and to show to potential customers and stuff.
Sure, it's a killer tool, of course. And I imagine there will be some firms that go like how people have gone all digital, and not so much print anymore, and just this new digital world. So it seems to fall into that. But there's always legacy, and there's always value in the other ways of doing it. Okay, next story. Oculus agrees to acquire Carbon Design team. Carbon Design, creators of such products as the Xbox 360 controller, may be acquired by Oculus. Given that this news was given in an official Oculus email newsletter, it's a pretty safe bet. We're thrilled to announce that we've been agreed to acquire the Carbon Design team, one of the premier industrial design and product engineering teams in the country, with over 5 awards to their name. As part of the deal, the team will officially become a key component of the product engineering group at Oculus. Operating from the Carbon Studio in the Seattle area, they'll also be working closely with Oculus R&D team based out of Redmond. We expect the deal to close by end of summer. So in the Seattle area, this sounds really cool to me. They got a design team. I do design by day as well as front-end web development. And so I'm really interested to see them bringing on these designers that are going to make this hardware, for the users, which is what I care a lot about.
That is super exciting news. I did not know they were going to take it that far, on the industrial design side. So that's great. And I've got an Xbox 360 controller, and I love it. So I'm very curious to know what else they're working on.
Yeah, me too. And I have a Xbox controller for the PC, and it's awesome. So I totally dig that. Roger, what are your thoughts?
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, I've got an aftermarket Xbox 360 controller, but it's based on their direct design, and it's like a clear one with lights inside it. So I'm just waiting for a clear Rift with LED lights that change color.
We were talking about that, I think in VRChat, and people were referencing some of the later gadgets and the clear devices like clear cases. But I remember my clear telephone in the 80s, and so did Rev. And anybody have a clear telephone? I'm the only one? Wow. Some of you guys out there in the stream who was that?
Holotape over here.
Yeah, that's right, Holotape, my man.
Is it a clear Game Boy?
That was it, the clear Game Boy. Sure, that's probably very recognizable to a lot of people, yeah. I had to have a clear phone and call my girlfriends on it, so. Jason, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Not for the kind of design. Obviously, design's going to be cool. It'll be good to have a new design on it. But more so, if they're thinking about design fully to the point where they have a team, they're going to need to finalize all the side things. Like, we already know they're working hella hard on the screen, on the persistence, on the trackers. But things like the comfort, the foam, the ability maybe to look out when you're wearing it. This is the kind of stuff that they have to finalize to give the guys the specs so they can actually build it. So that means they're going to take at least some time off of the hardcore stuff to work on the comfort and work on the things which make it easier for us people who strap this on every day, And I'm totally on board for that.
Awesome. How about you, Luis? What are your thoughts?
Well, you guys pretty much summed up everything I would also say about it. Besides that, yeah, I'm also very excited. I also own Xbox 360 controller for PC, and I think their devices are pretty awesome. I actually believe they will have a very nice future with the Oculus.
Yeah, me too. And one last thing from the article: as a company, Carbon Design has a 20-year history of taking consumer, industrial, and medical products from conception to completion. Carbon approaches products with a design-driven methodology rooted in quality engineering, ergonomics, deep user insights, and rapid iteration. All this adds up to an incredible skill set to deliver groundbreaking new virtual reality products. So they say, please join us in welcoming the Carbon team to Oculus. And I say we do the same. So, woohoo, welcome. Woo! All right, so moving on, our next guest spotlight is with DrashVR. Drash, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became interested in VR.
Well, I actually did not become interested in VR until the Rift came along. And I'm not even sure how I heard about the Rift Kickstarter, but I got in on that basically in the very last hour. Shame on me, right? But yeah, I got in there, and while I was waiting for that thing to cook and be delivered to the door, I started, spending my days thinking about the ideas, the possibilities, and I started putting two and two together that, hey, I should make something. And yeah, one thing led to another, and I'm now having a really, really good time.
That's a cool story. I mean, being right there at the end, the last hours of the Kickstarter, and to grab that, I wasn't able to do that. I think I waited another month or two, but was following. I think I needed to see some CES footage or something that had to really convince me, and I was like, there's just no way, I can't resist now. Cool. So Titans of Space still ranks very highly among all the available demos, games, and even experiences. What was your inspiration for it? Where did you acquire the skills necessary to pull it off? And what got you interested in all that?
Well, I've always been interested in space, like many people. And, when I was a kid, I saw a documentary that sort of paired up some really great music with a journey through the solar system. And so ever since then, I've just been trying to create like a modern re-envision of that. And, I was already tinkering in Unity about 6 months before the Rift came along. And then just decided to make something.
And what was that documentary that you're referring to?
I believe it's called Voyage to the Outer Planets and Beyond, and the host was Isaac Asimov.
Awesome. I don't think I've seen that, so I'll definitely look it up.
It's pretty old. It's like 30 years old now. But yeah, it's a classic. It's got Host the Planets as the background music.
And there's one I really like that I remembered from when I was younger, and you probably do know it. It's like kind of the microcosm and macrocosm, and you kind of zoom out like by every 10 powers of 10. That one, I seen it when I was really young, so it gets me in the heart, and it's just such a mind-blowing experience, right? Have you seen that?
Probably not the one that you're saying now.
That's the blue dot, isn't it?
Anybody? The blue dot?
I think that's what it's called. I think it's called the blue dot. Yeah.
I watched it last weekend with a short throw projector on my ceiling with my girlfriend. We were lying on bed and we watched it. It was incredible.
Oh my god, lying on the bed with a projector. I have a bed and I have a projector. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, you're missing out. I've done that too.
Do you remember the name of it? Is it called Blue Dot or is it something else?
I looked at a few of them. There's a few of them out there. So, powers of 10, or, zooming through the
Powers
universe.
of 10, I think is probably what it's called.
Yeah. I just, on YouTube, there's a few there.
Sure. Yours is different, I think. Mine's from like the 80s, and it's really old school narrated.
No, it is. Yeah, it's the one where they zoom right out. Like, I think there's a bunch of people, and they kind of zoom right the way out, and just sort of, the powers of 10 right the way out, and then zooms right back in again.
That's probably it. I don't want to take up all the time talking about that. I want to definitely get asking some more questions to Drash here. People always rave about the scale of the planets in Titans of Space, but the scale is actually nowhere close to realistic. Why did you do this, and is presenting planetary bodies at full size in VR something you or someone else can or should do?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it basically took a lot of back and forth during development to arrive at the scale that I ended up with. And there were a bunch of reasons. First of all, there's like 3 different limitations I had to work with. One was, the limitation of the depth buffer, limitation of the precision of the world coordinates, and finally, in Unity, the closest you can get the near clip plane to you is 0.01 meters. And, normally that's overkill for like when you're at 1-to-1 scale in real life. You don't need to see anything closer than that. But when you're trying to fit really small things, such as yourself, and really big things, such as the big stars or whatever, into one scene, that created some kind of issues. And so I wanted to scale down the player really, really small, like an ant. But the problem is that the near clip plane doesn't also scale down. It stays at 0.01 minimum. So it's like an ant who can't see anything 10 feet in front of him. So, I ended up with 2 different camera setups, just like a lot of space sims do. They have like a near camera where they see all the cockpit, and a far camera shows everything else. I did that, but in addition, I also did like a thing where I decouple the IBD for each camera. So, perceptually for the user, he sees, something natural, but like all the stars are really, really small in world space. So, I had to do all these kinds of tricks and stuff, and then I eventually arrived at, maybe it's best to just have these things kind of small when you first start out, just because it would be easier to sort of get a good sense of, their size just from the stereoscopy.
That's really interesting. So, the Rift demo roundup has been published a few times a month now since March. Are you getting close to competing with Bruce or Wormslayer for the title of guy who has played the most Rift demos?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure that we are neck and neck.
Cool, Drash. Thanks for answering those questions. All right, next story is Metatron's Mitch McCaffrey shared a UE4 template that he has been working on. So, Mitch has been working with UE4 with us and Team Metatron and has this really great Rift template for people to use. People like Hadstick said thanks. This really helps for people who are never seen UE4 before. And Third Foundation says nice work. This is so weird that you did it. I was thinking the same thing a week ago. I posted some tips for setting up UE4 for VR in the Oculus forums, but this is much better. And he also says we definitely need a standard that we can all agree upon for movement and for the perfect settings in the post-processing volume. I've also found light reflections in water are annoying, which can be fixed by setting light roughness and yada, yada, yada there. So what's great is seeing a lot of folks really digging this, getting value out of it, trying to help with standardizing. You know, it's providing a template for people to start from. You know, these blueprints in UE4 are rocking it. And we have the final comment was from Nate, who was just mentioning about the video now. He's on Team Metatron as well. He says, great stuff, Mitch. I've been talking about the UE4 VR API thing for ages, but it's good to see, you know, some of the bones of its functionality in a state where it can already help people. The videos showcasing how to use everything are fantastic. And yeah, he did a really good job. So let's go and take a look at the video so everybody can kind of have context for what I just said.
Hey there, so there was this recent post on the Oculus subreddit asking if anyone's made a UE4 game template for the Rift. So I thought I'd
and go ahead and skip about a minute in maybe.
Have a go at trying to make one. So when you download Shooter, where you just have the arms, and it's alright, it works for shooters, but it's meant for just mouse input. So like, because you have decoupled viewing in the Rift, when you look down you see you have no body, whereas if it was an actual shooter game, you can't see that because your arms are locked to your body.
And let's skip forward to where you see the movement.
We also have no head bob, which is the same as lights around the edges.
Cool. Sorry, Lou.
So the next thing is this kind of mirror setup. So this is the character controller. But you can see I've set up decoupling of the head, and I've also set it up so the character head actually moves with the Rift display. So yeah, this is just animation offsets, like blend spaces. I can show you that in a little bit. The next thing I have, as I try and control this, is the screen percentage values. So these are pretty important in Rift games. So if I increase these, so I mean you probably can't see it that much of a quality increase, but I can decrease it and you can definitely see a quality decrease. So this helps with frame rate.
Everyday talk about that. Let's skip a little further
because it's so low that it doesn't even make sense.
In the future,
130 is kind of the standard Unity demo is actually around 1. So 1.3 is kind of, again, that kind of Unity standard.
Can you fast forward that a bit, Mike?
And you say your friends.
There's actually no more to fast forward.
Same thing then, I thought it was. Huh. Sorry, Nate. Nate, I was thinking the redirected movement, you know, is that not the one?
He published a bunch of these videos,
So Nate, can you just describe it and then we'll talk about it? You'll give all the good details.
Well, it's basically what Mitch is showing off here. It's just a collection of things that start to make UE4 more digestible for a developer who's working in VR. It's not just starting from the Oculus SDK and then you have to implement everything else on top of it, like decoupled walking around and your head tracker in the Rift actually changing the head orientation of the player. He's doing a lot of really cool stuff with gaze-directed UI, and this is all eventually going into the API that we're trying to spin up, but we figured, hey, if these bits and pieces are working and are going to help someone who is just starting a UE4 project right now and doesn't really know how to do all of this stuff, we can at least offer this to them and get them a little farther along.
Yeah, I love it so much. APieceOfFruit, you're on the team. What's your thoughts about this? It kind of, you know, in parallel with some of the things you're working on.
Yeah, he's a fantastic guy. He's doing some great work. I love seeing what he comes up with, because I'm a C# guy, so I'm trying to do this stuff for Unity, and I can't really help too much in the Unreal department. So it's great to see someone really spearheading that and making it easier for people starting out, because we've all been there. You know, we've all done that, sort of searched online for a problem we don't know how to solve, and then seen an answer. Oh, I solved it. Never mind. And then nobody tells you how they did it, and you're stuck just staring at the bloody screen. So if he's actually putting out the product, the tutorials, good stuff.
Exactly. Louis, what do you think about this? Have you seen this before, or is this all new?
Well, not only I've seen this before, but I already used it for my own projects because lately I've been using Unreal Engine for my architectural projects, and this has been very, very, very handy.
Man, that is so wonderful to hear. And I know that Nate and others are really appreciating that comment. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing here, this show or VRChat or Minecraft, all this social stuff is really passionate about connecting people. Right now, we're all connected here, and these other ways of connecting. So it's really warms my heart, and so that's awesome that you're able to take advantage of that, and it's so cool. Drash, have you seen anything on this, or what do you think about getting some standards here for input?
Yeah, I think the basics are good to spread around and make sure everybody knows how to use it. Just for the minimal optimal experience in VR, you got to have a good experience. And I've had to go through the same thing in Unity. I haven't moved over to Unreal Engine for it. I think that the same results could be achieved with a little bit more work. But yeah, I've had to build up my own framework and use that, and it's been very helpful. And so I think that what they're doing with this Unreal Engine 4 framework is very valuable.
Absolutely. And Roger, what about you?
I'm really looking forward to checking this out more and really getting into blueprints. Actually, I've been putting it off. Just been so busy with other things, and I've started a creative coding course, so I'm sort of sidetracked a bit. Yeah, I can't wait to really get into it. Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of us out there, just because the Unreal Engine 4 has been released so cheaply, gives so much more of us a chance to get into it. So it's great.
Yeah, it's a great tool to have, and kind of, it's only been out, a month or two, maybe 2 or 3. And so it's great for people to have that. I haven't really done much work in UE4. It's something that I want to do as well, but my day job keeps me way too busy. I think I'm just going to go ahead and quit so that I can just learn everything I want to learn.
Yes. Everyone quit their jobs.
Right now, everybody, come on, are you with me? Isn't that the case? You have your job and they're screwing you over, and they're screwing other people over. You're like, come on, everybody, let's just leave. And nobody leaves.
Someone needs to buy a hotel and we can all just move in.
I do like the pressure of having a limited amount of time. It actually helps having, you have to be strict on yourself and dedicate yourself those few hours wherever you can.
I actually quit my job so I could start developing my stuff in VR.
Excellent.
I love that story too, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of at that crossroads of just... Go ahead. What'd you say, APieceOfFruit?
I just said living the dream, it's great. That's what I think, as Nate said, a lot of us want to do. In the end, we all want to just be VR guys in the end,
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the time, iron's hot, strike it, those sort of, sayings. It's the beginning, waiting later is not going to be very helpful. Of course, we all need to put food on the table, but, stay up real late. Do it, folks. I encourage everybody. Now's the time. All right. Another guest spotlight. This time we're going to talk to APieceOfFruit. Jason, thanks for your continual work on Team Metatron and for making your second appearance here on the panel. After seeing what Mitch is up to on UE4 side of things, what can you tell us about Team Metatron's plans to do something similar with Unity?
Totally. Yeah, there's a lot of plans for the kind of the intro API kind of thing for Unity. The only thing I'm personally waiting for is I'm waiting for a lot of the hardware APIs to come out and sort of mash those together into a stack for people, because I think too many people are afraid, both consumers and developers, of, well, we can't support all this stuff, we can't have all these devices in our game, and they shouldn't have to. They should be able to just use the Metatron API and then we'll handle that for them. We will make sure all the devices work integrated together, and then they just have to hit sliders and switches, and that way everybody, because I have these devices, I want to use them, so I want every game to support everything. So that's kind of, that's my kind of baby of this project, but there's a lot of other things going on with it,
Sure, yeah. I know that we are in a similar boat with what we've backed as far as these input, hardware. What have you backed again? I forgot.
I have the Omni backed, I have the Stem backed, the Petal fan, the Delta 6, Control VR. I had Prio, but due to financial issues at the time, I had to unback that, and I hate myself for it. But yeah, I basically plan to back everything. And of course, Stomps. I'll be grabbing a set of them when they come out in the market.
Hell yeah. Stomps looks awesome. I love how he's bringing an affordable solution. That's such a huge deal. And I'm jealous. Control VR. It's still going. Is that right?
8 days, I think. 7 days. It's nearing the end.
I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. No. I'm gonna regret it. I don't know. We'll see. All right. And what's the best way to spur a large community like ours, and perhaps many more people outside it, into adopting a software development standard? What can an API do for us? Any other special projects you want to announce, or any other topics to discuss? Oh wait, I just read two questions
I would say
in one
that,
there.
Yeah, I'll see if I can kind of cover the grounds there.
Sure.
Well, personally, I think it's as well as the same as a lot of the engines. You open them up and you're given your templated base ground, and it's nice to have kind of the preempted features you think someone will want. So an API, sure, it'll include the hardware stuff that's sort of to give you all those, but it's also going to include some of the gameplay mechanics that save you rewriting the wheel kind of thing. I mean, any game you're going to do in VR is most likely going to have headlock, right? You're going to be looking at stuff and you're going to be highlighting or interacting with stuff based on what you're looking at. That's not a hard thing to do, but it would be nice to have it out of the box. And same with what you're pointing at, same with various, how long you're looking at things. So just all of these sort of things that give you triggers and flags that you can, as a developer, just go, when they look at this for a few seconds, if they're pointing at that, if they pick this up, then do such and such. You should be building mechanics for your game, not the gameplay aspects, not the actual engine. You shouldn't have to. So I've got a few of those in place, things like the telekinesis-y kind of grabbing and selecting, the head look, the touching, the interacting. I'm hoping to wrap all of that up into something where people can think of it like a game maker. You can rip it apart, it's all open source, you can do whatever you want with it, but you should, out of the box, if you've never used Unity, be able to follow a guide, make a little story, and have a guy run around, pick up stuff and throw things, and have fireballs, and have guns shooting out of his face without having to actually reinvent everything, if that's what you want to make,
It's like having a delicious box of fruit that you can just enjoy.
Nice.
All right, thanks, Jason. I really appreciate you answering those questions.
No problem.
All right, so next up, I want to talk about the VRChat developer AMA series that just kicked off, and I don't know exactly how they pulled it off, but they got Palmer Luckey to join. I was very lucky to be able to record the event and ask some questions. So we can watch some footage, but let me just read something a little bit here. Palmer talks about investing in content only if it works well for launch, like seated avatars and safe VR experiences lacking triggers for simulator sickness. Because first-timers can still be made uncomfortable even with DK2's improvements, this feels like an important news for any devs hoping to get funded directly from Oculus. But note that Palmer has confirmed the seated experience thing is true largely for liability and first impression reasons. Mike, do we have that video?
Our position has to be, look, our hardware can work well, and our software can work well. You can make things that don't make people feel disoriented, and anything that does is, that's down to the software and the experience, not to Oculus or the Rift.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, it's a delicate.
I got, actually, for a moment there, Nate, when you came in on the screen there, I didn't know if you were talking in real life or in whatever. Cool. So what do you guys think of this VRChat developer series? We're really stoked that Palmer came to this AMA, and what do you guys think of him actually coming into these environments? He's been in RiftMax once before. We hope he'll come out again. Of course, I would love to have him on the show. I'm not sure if he's really doing shows right now. He kind of alluded to not quite right now. But Drash, were you able to check out that video?
I watched the very beginning, and I was like, whoa, 2 hours long, I can't do this. So I I moved on. But yeah, it was very impressive to see that he showed up. But it's kind of funny to see that he kind of over there by himself and other people are just kind of talking to each other, and it felt kind of awkward. But
Sure.
it always occurs to me that VRChat, it's just a reflection of reality. It's still got the awkward stuff going on, the clicks, the social maneuvering, and all that stuff. It's still pretty interesting to watch.
That's interesting perspective. I definitely think the recording being in Rift mode is very cool. You can experience it, but I think it does detract from maybe the watchability, and so 2 hours of watching that could be. I would never watch it because, again, I was there, but I'm always interested in that kind of feedback. It's all new, Roger, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it in VR, actually, just through, is it off on YouTube now, is it?
That's right.
It's great. Hey, like Oculus is watching. They watch the Rev podcasts. I know that, and they I'm sure they watch these, or who knows who watches who exactly. But
Sure.
It's great to know that they're actively involved in the community as much as they can be. I'm sure they're really busy, and but in their spare time, in their free time, I'm sure they're interested in VR non-stop. So all this content's out there, so they'll be consuming it too.
Yeah, and I guess if Palmer did come on virtually incorrect in the next week or two, I think people might get really upset that I'm taking him away from getting our DK2s in our hands, so it's probably good.
Haha.
Cool. Any other thoughts on that before we move on? Right on. Next up is Roger's guest spotlight. Roger, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in VR.
Well, for years before, I was looking at, the little 3D glasses and 3D monitors, the promise of that. I was always interested in pushing it to the next level, and I gave up, literally gave up. And then I saw the John Carmack interview, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. And I saw that there was a Kickstarter. I thought, wow, cool. And then I just thought, oh, well, I can't afford it at the moment. I'm not going to risk it. I'm just going to sit back and watch. And then Psychonaut Bruce, I think last week you had someone on the show mention that they watched Psychonaut Bruce's first experience. I think it was the Museum of the Microstar. He was showing that on YouTube, and I saw that, and I immediately ordered it as soon as he went, whoa, look at the scale. This will be incredible for artists and people, So yeah, I ordered it there and then. Spent some time developing stuff for it in Unity before it arrived. I got it literally last year, I think May last year.
Excellent.
Yeah, and as soon as I got my Rift, and I had to restart my project because it was running way too slow. So yeah, and I've shown it to over 1,000 people easily at festivals, events, art galleries. I've shown it at, and it's been amazing.
Yeah,
an amazing ride.
When we met in Minecraft probably about 6 months ago, and heard about what you were doing, the part, of course, that really captivated me was that you're demoing your Rift at these art festivals and things of such out there in Australia. You're exposing it to thousands of people. They come into this tent with your artwork around the tent, I guess in a sphere, basically, or in a circle. So you can go around and look at the art. You have amazing art. Shared it with a lot of my friends and my family.
Cheers.
And of course, you see it behind us here. Of course,
it's trippy to look
graciously. Yeah, your art's here, man. You graciously allowed me to use that, and I love it. So the demo, though, so people sit in the center, and they go into your demo, and they see all your art in that demo, right?
Well, that was the one where it was at Rainbow Servant Festival. They have this sort of visionary art space, these couple of domes set up in the middle of the bush, and there's 15,000 people that attend this event over a few days, and I just invited myself to it. I said, oh, I've got virtual reality, can I show it here? And they said, yeah, sure. So I set up my artwork, actually as a table, and set the Rift on top of it. And interestingly, my VR experience, like the gallery section of my VR experience, was the same dimensions as the dome pretty much. So people were in this dome surrounded by other people's artwork, and when they put it on, they were in it replicated that environment and replaced it with my own artwork, which was kind of cheeky and fun to do at the same time.
I didn't realize that detail. That is really cool. So I come in here and see the best artwork.
Oh, thanks. And yeah, that's the thing. I really never. Not many people know that I do this at the event. Like at that event in particular, nobody knew I was going to bring it. So it's just like they come across it, and then word of mouth spreads like wildfire. And I'm literally there for 11 hours straight, putting people in. Yeah, just lines and lines of people, big groups, and I can't turn anyone away. So it's it can be tiring, but it's hilarious fun.
Yeah, I mean, these are people, they're interested. I mean, why would you not want to spend all the time that you can? I mean, they're not going to be there forever, and it's the natural way of spreading things by word of mouth. Hearing that kind of story, just it's real inspiring.
Oh, and I feed off their joy. I just, I eat it. It keeps me going, for sure.
I have a similar personality. I really like to see people happy, see people get together, hang out. That sort of environment is really cool, and share things. I'm a big kind of sharer.
Awesome.
Cool. So can you tell me a little bit about the Northeast Southwest project?
Right. It's an ongoing project, and because my Unity trials, I've gone through 2 of them at the moment. Like my friend, he gave me his, but they've both run out now. So I was going to say it was going to be released in January 2014, and I kind of met my target. But I only showed it at these live events, so it was only like a one-on-one demonstration type of thing. But I did show, hundreds and hundreds of people. But I haven't released it publicly yet because it's not where I want it to be. And now I really want to look at porting it over or putting it over to Unreal 4, just because I see that as much more suited to me and with blueprints especially. And I'm not a coder. So, but yeah, the idea of it is like lucid dreaming is as close to VR as I can imagine. Like they both complement each other so well, and actually, I've found out there's a hindrance to VR when it comes to training for lucid dreaming. Is every pre-lucid dream I've had, like the last 5 of them or 6. This is where you are nearly aware that you're in a dream and you have that question because things start getting really vivid. My mind goes, holy shit, this is incredible VR. And in my dream, I think I'm wearing a virtual reality headset every time. So I have to get over that barrier. It's a funny thing that's happened. But the Northeast Southwest project is how to train people to, once they're in a lucid dream, how to stay in the lucid dream. And I'm doing that I want to do it using ray casting. So when you look at an object, it affects it and it can stop it from vibrating. That's the idea. So yeah, I still have to work out a lot, but the idea of it is the objects in your environment will start to vibrate and you have to look at them for 2 seconds and you glance at another object for 2 seconds and you continue that process until it all locks in. Because that is what happens in lucid dreaming. Yeah. Oh, and it's also the other side of Northeast Southwest is virtual art gallery, and then psychedelic experiences like recreating the DMT experience and LSD experience and stuff like that.
Excellent. So let's open it up to the audience. What happened? Go ahead. Anybody? Hawkward. Okay. Anybody in the audience like to ask any questions? Please line up at the microphones that you see here on my left and right. And while you're doing that, let's go around the table and have you guys plug anything, or if you don't want to plug anything, maybe plug something of somebody else's. And we'll start with Roger.
Come down to the big shebang-a-bang. It's on now. It's literally where I'm going next. It's like a house party where I'll be showing virtual reality. So I'll be a couple of hours late, but it's going to go all night, so I'm going to be down there. This is in Melbourne, so no one here will probably...
I'm on my way.
Jake, if you're watching, Jake, there's a party on. I'll send you the link. Okay, that's all.
Awesome. And, and Drash. Anything to plug?
Well, not much to announce right now, but I'm working on Titans of Space updates. So there will be a DK2 update with a bunch of new features, but just to set expectations, there will not be galaxies or anything like that. It's just kind of rounding out what's there and making it consumer ready. And then I've lined up help to put together sequels. And so
Nice.
That's very exciting, and looking forward to working on that.
Excellent. How about you, Louis?
Well, I wanted before I say goodbye, I wanted to ask you guys if somebody is going to be around Europe, and at the 1st of August there's going to be a VR meeting in Amsterdam, and it will be cool if some people from Europe would fly there. It would be awesome.
So my first stop's going to be at Rogers at the house party, and then I'm coming to see you in Amsterdam, and it's going to be
Yeah.
And Jason, what about you?
Well, I'll just do sort of the vague, large plug to say I've seen a lot of posts on the subreddit saying I am an X. Anybody need help? Musicians and programmers and graphic artists. And the answer is yes. Team Metatron. Join Team Metatron. Everyone who wants to, feel free. There's loads of projects going on. There is a mountain of stuff, of work to do. And if you want to be part of getting projects out there and being part of a team of people and getting, there's people from all over the world to different time zones. So if you can contribute half an hour, then feel free to. I'm personally working on the API stuff. So if anyone's interested in that, feel free, get in touch, let me know. But there's 1,000,001 projects, a couple of game things we're working on. Mitch is doing his stuff, and there's a few other people who are working on various other kind of cool games coming out. So yeah, just get in touch, just feel free, and let us know. I have a YouTube channel, APieceOfFruit, on YouTube. I've got a couple of videos of things I'm playing with. Any ideas, fire them my way. I'm APieceOfFruit on subreddit as well. But yeah, Team Metatron, join us. Go ahead, do it now. Now.
Awesome. MetatronVR.com. All right, we've got some questions on my left here. Please state your name and ask your question or give us a comment.
Yeah, this is Coznefx, and I have a question for Drash. I noticed that you put an incredible amount of demos on your site that you list out. That you have your list every 2 weeks, and I was wondering, is that something that you do on the weekends or every night, or do you do it daily? And how do you balance being developing and being able to test out all of the demos, because it looks like there's just an incredible amount of them coming all the time?
Well, basically, trying out new demos is kind of like my taking a break from stuff. It just takes about 5 or 10 minutes of time, once or twice a day. And then I'm really, all I'm doing is just copying and pasting links and tags into like a notepad type thing. And then at the end of the 2 weeks, I just push a button on a program I wrote to turn all of that into the web page that you see. So it's not taking much of my time, but it's really fun to do. And I'm glad that it's helping people.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good question. Who's up next?
Alright, my name is Death Templar, and I gotta say, when I first got my dev kit, right before I ordered it, the day I ordered it, I watched a YouTuber, Markiplier, play the game Dread Halls, and I thought it was gonna be a good idea to get it, because right after he put up that video, right after I saw it, I bought it immediately, the dev kit won. So, and unfortunately, because it was the first game I first played Dread Halls, it was terrifying, but bad choice, really bad choice. But that brings up the idea of, since today we've talked about like the benefits of making dreams come true and stuff, I've definitely had things like that happen for me in VR, but you gotta think, if for horror games, sometimes it can be too horrible, too scary to play, and what if they can actually somehow damage you as a person, like kind of make you more paranoid or things like that? And you got to think about it. What if what are the negatives of the VR experiences? Like, I mean, not just physically, because we know some people are physically limited where they can't do things like falling from buildings in these simulators like that, because it'll hurt them physically because of their limitations. But the mental limitations and mental damages on things like Dread Halls, I've had a lot of friends play Dreadhalls. I've had them try the Rift. They couldn't even go for it for seconds. But when you see people play it, like Markiplier, he played it for like almost 20 minutes, and he was crying in the video. So you gotta think that there's so many negatives that can be brought upon it. And the bad side is if too many people play the bad demos, like mostly horror fanatics like me, if we play too many of the horror demos and it somehow horribly impacts us as a person, we can be, and people see that, it could go into the media of some sort, and they might say, try putting limits and stuff, like try banning horror games and stuff like that on the Rift.
It's an interesting question, and we should open up, but one thing that I would want to do is I can't wait for the first horror game to make me pee my pants. I'm actually looking forward to that.
If they put Silent Hill in Oculus Rift, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, I personally, I suck at horror games. I am the biggest baby. I'll play like 10 minutes and nope the hell out of it. But I love them because of that reason. I think one of the biggest downsides in life is we're too safe. We're at a point where we don't have world wars. We don't have issues that we're dealing with that strengthen us as people. And I think the idea of forcing yourself into hazardous situations where you have to risk your life to save others, you have to take a dangerous chance and find what you're made of to go through something that would genuinely instill fear. I think it's the opposite. I think it's a growing experience. I think you will get to learn about yourself, improve yourself, and it also has the psychological benefit that you can take off the headset and realize you're fine. You have that out. You have the ability that while you're in it, it's all consuming, but it gives you that knowledge that I survived it. I can take it off and I'm still here despite everything that happened. So I love psychology in VR, and I love the concepts, and I love discussing it. And I think that this particularly is going to be a more beneficial thing than people realize in terms of all these big scary or these sort of mind-blowing experiences. I think they're going to help us more than hinder us.
And I have to say too as well, since I've been playing horror games, when I was 6 I played Resident Evil. I've been playing them all my life, and so I'm not as scared of games anymore, of horror games. They have actually strengthened me, made me more brave in a lot of the games, but and maybe some people, this could really, like some horror games, they can really strengthen us, or they could really drag us down or something, like things like that to think about.
I guess it's like desensitizing at a more personal, immersive way. That's kind of what a lot of the media is doing. When you play playing games, you're definitely desensitizing yourself to certain things if those things are, harsh or whatnot. But like arachnophobia, all that could be dealt with. I think that's really, very interesting stuff. All right, that basically wraps things up. I do want to make one announcement. There will be no show next week. I'm going to take a break. Maybe not. No, I need to take a little bit of a break. It's been a good season so far. We've done 11 episodes. I'm really
guest host.
And ain't no guest host here. I'm the only one.
There can only be one.
That's right. There's only one Gunter. So no show. It's July 4th. I'm going to take some time off and party. So I'll see you, the week after for sure. I've got a lot of guests lined up for July, so stay tuned. And that's pretty much it. It's been a pleasure being your host. Thanks to all my guests and audience members, the Rift Max crew, Holotape, and thank you, Roger, for the great artwork. Always love that. And thanks to the whole VR community. You guys rock. And keep on riding the wonderful, and good night, everybody.